What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Yankees on Deck podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cunningham. The Yankees lose a tough one today, 8-7, to the Cleveland Guardians. Uh, Look, they started out great. You know, Aaron Judge had a huge home run, 3-run home run in the top of the third, get the Yankees on the board. Jose Trevino went deep. That was good to see. He had a couple hits today. Was hitting the ball hard finally. So we saw him turn around. And, Anthony Volpe in the ninth inning when we were down 5-4, he hit a double in the gap, tie the game. It just sucks, man, because this team fought really hard. And the Guardians came back in it, but the team on offense kept fighting. And then in that extra inning in the bottom of the 10th, the defense just shit itself. It was terrible. We're going to run through it, break it all down. But I first want to point out, too, really quick, I honestly shouldn't even be mentioning this, but, congrats to the Guardians. You guys were able to pull this one out and narrowly avoid getting swept. Our defense handed you the game, so congratulations. And then the Cleveland Guardians social media pages, they're just so weird. Like, they come at Yankee fans, they're like, oh, what excuses are the Yankees going to make now? Like, it's like, shut up, dude. Like, you guys nearly got swept and you're talking shit. Imagine that. You nearly get swept and you win a game and then you start talking shit to Yankee fans and the organization. Like, just makes you look really stupid, honestly. And weird behavior, too. They do a lot of weird behavior with the Yankees the last few years, especially like a few years back. They were calling us the team from Queens, and it's like, what kind of joke are you trying to make? Like, they're just super weird, but it's typical Ohio activity, honestly. You have a bunch of weirdos coming from that state. So really, honestly, really don't want to pay any attention to it. I just wanted to point it out because it's so corny and funny how like a team can narrowly avoid getting swept and they act like they win the World Series and the social media page starts talking shit. It's like, okay, that's what you define an accomplishment in the 21st century. Go ahead. But anyway, so to move on from that, the Yankees, however, the defense was absolute shit. It gave the Guardians this game. That's what really, the offense was great. We could talk about that, but the defense is what destroyed us. Too many errors in the bottom of the 10th. Gleyber Torres, infield was in. Ground ball. They had runners on the corners. Couldn't field it. Run scored. Tie game. And it's just little things like that. He couldn't make the basic plays today. Anthony Rizzo had multiple balls at first base that he could not pick. And he also had another fielding error. He bobbled the ball. I mean, what is going on with this defense? This defense is horrible. This defense has to be one of the worst, if not the worst, defensive teams in baseball. Cabrera had a terrible throw at third base today. Volpe bobbled the ball in that 10th inning on the ball that should have been turned into a double play that was hit to Torres. And then Volpe also had like a wild throw to Rizzo at first. I mean, what's going on between the throwing and the fielding and just not being able to field your position? Our defense is freaking terrible. It's awful. I mean, we can run through all of it in grand fashion. I mean, Gleyber Torres in that bottom 10th inning, infield in, second and third, ground ball right to him, couldn't come up with it, run scored, Cleveland tied the game 7-7. Anthony Rizzo, like 3 times in this game, he could not pick the ball at first base. It was a bad throw, granted, but they were balls he should have easily picked. And then he had an error in one of the middle innings, too, on a ball that was hit to him. He couldn't come up with it. I mean, what's going on? I don't understand. We had 2 errors today, but it should have been more like 5 between the number of times guys were bobbling balls, throwing balls, like just all over the place. Couldn't get accurate throws to first base. I mean, what is going on? I mean, why is this defense such shit? It's terrible. And it cost us the game. It really did. It cost us the game. Because the Guardians, look, and the reliever that was in at the time, Cole Ferguson, he did not pitch good. Granted, he gave up that big double to David Fry, and then you're like, oh, here you go, they're going to walk it off. He was not good. Okay, he gave up, 2 big hits, 3 runs. He wasn't good. He wasn't missing any bats, but the defense didn't help him out at all. I mean, that's a disgrace. The defense is a freaking joke right now. I'm pretty sure right now we're either tied. We're actually probably past the Oakland A's in terms of team errors. It's a joke. This team, defense-wise, handed the Guardians the game. They gave it to them. All that fight from the offense. Anthony Volpe, by the way, he had a heck of a game. He looked so comfortable in the leadoff spot. Got on base numerous times, was working walks. He was 3 for 4 today. Faced the Cleveland's ridiculous closer, Emmanuel Clase. In the 9th inning, we were down 5-4, and we had a runner on, and Volpe just shoots the ball to the gap. Run comes in. I mean, this kid's been clutch, and he looks great out of the leadoff spot. He's working the count, deep counts, nearly every at bat. Yeah, I mean, there's really nothing else to say from him. He was great. And then, yeah, sure, in the bottom of the 10th, people got on his case a little bit because a ball that was hit to Torres, they fielded it. Torres, dove for it, got it, threw it to Volpe, and Volpe had it, but then bobbled it, so couldn't come up with the throw to first. And people wanted to shit on him, but whatever. Like, yeah, that was bad, but look, we wouldn't even have been in that situation if not for Volpe with his hitting today. So I'm not going to get too much on his case. Torres, I am, because he had a freaking routine ground ball hit right to him, and he bobbles it. I mean, that's just unacceptable. You have infield in. The ball wasn't hit hard. It wasn't hit hard. It was a regular routine ground ball hit right to his glove. Didn't even have to move. And, of course, he bobbles it. Runner comes in. Slow runner on third base. Not even close. I mean, come on. I'm so sick of these fundamental things. Fundamental baseball. This team today could not turn double plays. They're throwing the ball over the field. I like Anthony Volpe, but the thing with Anthony Volpe, he's a great defender in terms of fielding his position. But when it comes to throwing, I mean, geez, and sometimes in the series, he's had some wild throws. He's got to get that under control. That is one concern. So, yeah, I mean, that's what you have. It's just those concerns. Volpe, Rizzo, all those guys. So, you have that. And, at the end of the day, that is the biggest concern with this team. Because the team hitting, it's going to be there. It's known to hit. It's known to do what it needs to do. And it did that today. But at the end of the day, you're going to have those instances where the team, the defense, it needs to come up clutch. It needs to get something going and make a big play. And when you can't make the routine plays, that's cause for alarm. That's cause for trouble. They didn't do that today. If they did that today, they would have won today's game. So you have that. You have all that. Judge, Rizzo, Stanton, Soto, they all did the job at the plate. But then when you have the defense and what they did today, it was terrible. It was awful. You can't make that up. It's just, it wasn't good. And there was no excuse behind that. There's no excuse. You don't win games when you can't make the basic fundamental plays and you can't turn double plays. That was key number one. So, yeah, the pitching wasn't great today. Nestor Cortez, 4 innings pitched, 5 hits. He had 4 earned runs. Did have 6 strikeouts, but did give up 2 home runs. One of them to Jose Ramirez. And then the other one, I believe, was to Esteban. No, not Florial. Jose Ramirez and then Gabriel Arias. So, look, he wasn't great today, but the team was still in the game. They fought back. They were up 3-0, then down 4-3, and tied it back up. So, I mean, the team was in the game the entire game, but at the end of the day, the defense let them down. The defense let them down. It wasn't good. We could go through that entire list, and it was bad. It was. There's no making that up. There's no excusing that. I mean, you got to make the fundamental plays, and also Alex Verdugo too. In the top of the 10th inning, we had second and third because Yankees had that big inning. They brought in 2 runs. It was 7-5 thanks to Volpe and whatnot. But then, Alex Verdugo, second and third, there was 1 out. He hits the ball to the first baseman, and he doesn't hustle. He's not hustling down the line, so they're able to double him up and get the guy out at home and then throw to first, get him out because he wasn't running. He just stopped. I mean, you need basic baseball IQ awareness right there to run and know what you have to do. You know that second and third. On a ball that's hit in the infield, likely the guy's going to run home, the guy at third base, and he did. And Alex Verdugo, he should have known that, and he should have hustled. And regardless, well, even if it's indecisive, simple baseball IQ that you're taught is every time you put the ball in play, you hustle. It doesn't matter if you hit the ball on the screws or you hit a weak dribble. It doesn't matter. You're always hustling. But even if you have basic baseball IQ, second and third there, they have the defense playing bit in, and Verdugo hits the ball hard there, almost down the line at first. You need to hustle that out because he immediately went home, the guy, because he had to cut off that run because the runner was going. So threw it home, got the guy, and then the catcher had time to throw it to first and easily get Verdugo out because Verdugo wasn't hustling. I mean, that's just basic. You should honestly get benched for that. Verdugo, I like Verdugo, but that was his first boneheaded mistake as a Yankee. Not hustling out of the box. Terrible. Because if he was hustling, he could have beat that out. And then the team, yes, there'd be 2 outs, but you'd have a runner on third, and they could have brought in another run. So he ended the inning there simply because of his bonehead decision of deciding, nope, I'm not going to hustle out of the box because I hit the ball hard and I hit it right at the guy. Stupid. Bonehead. Dumb. Dumb and dumber. I mean, that was just ridiculous. That was ridiculous. If I'm Aaron Boone, if I'm the manager, I know Verdugo's a good player. I know he's looked very in left field, but sit the bench. I mean, you got to get your head out of your ass on that. That is a ball you hustle 10 out of 10 times, and you beat that out. Because honestly, before that play even happens, you honestly have to know that in your head. You're a professional baseball player. You know that's going to happen. Hey, if I hit a ball hard here on the ground, that guy at third, when it's second, third, that guy at third is likely going to go. Okay, he's likely busting out of the box. So you need to know that. You need to have this simple awareness, baseball IQ of knowing that. And then when you hit the ball, you run. You bust your ass down the line. Or even if you didn't have that IQ, just every time you put the ball in play, you hustle it out of the box. You bust your ass. Jose Trevino the other day didn't do that at all. He had a weak pop fly to right field, and he knew, oh, yeah, the guy's going to catch it, so I'm going to not run at all. Didn't run at all, and then guess what? The ball fell, and then he thought he could be, a whiz and turn out into a double, but he didn't because he wasn't hustling in the first place. Could he have maybe if he hustled to begin with? Yeah, but he didn't because he was being an idiot and he wasn't hustling out of the box. I'm sick of these professional players not doing the basic fundamental things, hustling, making the routine plays, being crisp on that. That is what destroys a team. You could have all the talent in the world. You have Juan Soto, you have Aaron Judge, you have Anthony Volpe, Rizzo. You have these big monsters in the lineup. But if you cannot make the simple fundamental plays and have the situational awareness and simple baseball IQ, you're not going to get anywhere, and you're going to lose BS games like you lost today. Am I happy the team took 2 or 3 from a Cleveland team to start off well? Yes, I am. But am I pissed off because this was a very winnable game once this team went up 7-5 and had the heart and its offense fought back and climbed back in the game, only for the piss-poor defense to blow it in the end because they can't make the routine plays, and they couldn't all game. They couldn't make the fundamental plays. Okay, look, I played baseball growing up. All right, I was taught all these things. Was I perfect at any of this? Obviously not. Didn't get very far in my career past high school, so I'm not one to push advice. But when you're watching this game and these guys are at the highest level, this is something you practice all of the time. So you're expected to be darn near perfect at it. And when we've watched over a dozen plays this game that were shaky, yes, I only know 2 errors on the scorecard, which is a lot actually for a major league game, for one major league game. But when you watch the bad throws and the bobbling and unable to turn double plays, they were unable to turn double plays today. They did a horrible job of turning double plays. I'm not even sure if they turned one double play today. It was terrible. They were rushing it. They were just Throws were bad. Anthony Volpe had a great game, but he had some really questionable throws to first base. Rizzo, my gosh, what has happened to him at first base? This guy used to be a decent defensive first baseman. He's hit so far this year, so okay, but the defense has not been there. It's been dreadful. 3 balls today you should have picked. Couldn't pick either one of them. Looked routine. And then that fielding error, bobbling it, he looks totally lost at first base. Oswaldo Cabrera had an errant throw to Rizzo. Volpe, we talked about. Gleyber Torres, terrible second baseman defensively. I mean, you hold your breath every time that guy gets the ball. And today, he couldn't make the routine plays. Couldn't make the routine plays with the infield end, and they blow the game. This has to be the worst defense in Major League Baseball. This has to be. It has to be. I mean, where in the Yankees infield can you say, yeah, I am totally comfortable with that guy manning his position, holding it down the floor, and making a big play when he needs to? There's nobody. There's nobody. Anthony Volpe is a 22-year-old kid who, has made some stellar plays defensively, diving plays at shortstop this year. But I can't say with full confidence because he makes just some really wild throws. I don't know if he's just rushing it, but he's 22 years old. I'm not going to be super, super incredibly hard on him because he has taken big leaps this year on both sides of the ball. So that was kind of annoying today. But what's going to annoy me the most is the routine plays, that Rizzo and Torres just could not come up with at all. They could not come up with. Routine plays that you make 10 out of 10 times most days. And play after play after play after play. And they could not do it. I mean, what is going on? Granted, Nestor Cortez wasn't great today. Nick Birdie came in after him to relieve him. He was great, won an inning, only gave up 1 hit, had 2 strikeouts. Victor Gonzalez was great. Luke Weaver was good. It's outside of giving up that freaking home run to Florial in the bottom of the 8th to break the tie, make it 5-4. Other than that, Luke Weaver was great. Clay Holmes was great. Did have a walk, looked kind of like Clay Holmes in the beginning, but then he settled in. He was good. And then it was really just Caleb Ferguson that wasn't good. He wasn't good, but the defense didn't pick him up at all. If the defense picked him up, we would have won this game, and we would have swept. The defense gets an F. Terrible. And then Alex Verdugo, too. That simple physical and mental mistakes that you just cannot make. And if this team is legit this year, and this team is a playoff team, they need to clean it up and clean it up fast. Because defense, this is what destroys a team in the playoffs. I'm telling you right now, this is what happens. You get late in the game. It's crunch time. A lot of times games are close in the playoffs because the pitching is actually tight, meaning it's very good. So you don't get a lot of offensive explosions, right? So the games are tight. It's usually like 3-2 or 4-3 or 2-1, and that's when the defense needs to tighten it up. And this defense can't do that. They're giving up way too many runs, way too many base runners because the defense cannot make the simple fundamental plays that you expect any good team, high school, minor leagues, major leagues, even college, like anywhere, any level where you have a good team, I don't care about the level, these fundamental plays you expect to be made. And they just haven't done that. I don't know what's going on with Gleyber Torres. Gleyber Torres hasn't hit at all, really, to start this year. So he hasn't had that going, and the defense from him at second base has just looked dreadful. And it looked dreadful today. So I don't know what's going on with the defense. I really don't. I hope they clean it up. Because I'm telling you right now, if this team is gonna go a long way this year, 2 things need to happen. The starting pitching needs to be able to hold itself until Garrett Cole gets back at least, and then they can reassess the deadline. And number 2, this defense cannot be as bad as it is. It cannot be Oakland A's level embarrassing, which is just comical. Okay? That needs to tighten up because if those 2 things don't tighten up, I know it's incredibly early, but this team's not going to have much of a shot because those little things that people don't really think too much about, like defense, right? They think about, the offense, the star shredded power, and then, the pitching and all that. defense is very underrated. Okay, people don't usually think about that. They do. People a lot of times when they connotate a good team, they think, "Oh, this team has a great lineup. They have a good pitching staff. The bullpen's not half bad. We're gonna have a good shot this year." No, defense matters. Okay, teams, especially good ones, and maybe have some guys on the team that are very athletic, very fast. You got to have a crisp defense. They make the routine plays. They know what they're doing, and they're quick. And this team's not quick. They're very slow on defense. You saw it when they tried to turn double plays today. They couldn't turn them because it's just very slow. I remember being taught in baseball, you get a ground ball, it's like half second. You got to turn that double play. You got to assume the guy running down first base is like the fastest guy on the team, and you got to be quick with it. But also, fundamentally sound too. I mean, set your feet, throw. You don't pony this crap like Gleyber Torres did the other day, freaking sidearm, slinging like Robinson Cano, and the ball goes in the outfield, and that's how the Guardians get 2 runs. You don't pull any of that crap. You play fundamentally sound baseball, and this team cannot play fundamentally sound baseball. It was embarrassing watching that bottom of the 10th inning. Absolutely embarrassing. Oh man, I mean they should have freaking, and that's what's annoying about this, because the offense has been special this year. Okay, the way they work the count, come back in at bats. Anthony Volpe, A plus man with how he's been at the plate and so far on the leadoff spot. He was great. He was the reason why the team had really any fight to it in life, coming back down 1 run against Cleveland's closer, who's pretty freaking good, Emmanuel Clase, the guy that regularly throws 100 miles an hour. Volpe had a super professional at bat, taking 100 miles an hour, bullet to right center, tie game. Cabrera comes around and scores. But the defense just imploded on itself. It imploded, and it's a shame. And I don't know. I think this is going to be another thing, honestly. We're at the deadline. They're going to have to address it. They're going to have to address starting pitching, because even when Garrett Cole gets back, and hopefully he gets back and he's healthy and all that, but even if all that happens, starting pitching is still always going to be an issue in terms of the depth being thin, right? And like we've talked about, our heavy reliance on the bullpen, which we don't necessarily like for a full 162. So that's one thing, but also the defense. You're going to have to maybe go out and get a defense first guy that can field his position, either for second base, shortstop, third base, maybe a utility guy. That'd be great. Find a guy who can play all those positions and play it freaking well and play some freaking defense, because that's what this team needs, honestly. They would have won today. They would have won if not for this defense. It's dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. Gleyber Torres has to be one of the worst defensive second basemen in the league. And I'm not even joking when I say that. I mean, do we remember how bad he was at shortstop? He was so bad at shortstop. And he came up, and the bat was great. Couldn't feel his position, though. Couldn't feel his position. They tried to move. He came up as a second baseman, and they were getting away with that. And then they try and make him into shortstop. He's not a shortstop because the guy is not athletic. Okay, when he was a rookie, when he was a top prospect for the Cubs, he was a little bit more lanky and athletic, and then he put on some weight and muscle, and he kind of lost that. So he came up. He wasn't a super athletic guy, but he could hit. He could hit and hold down his position somewhat. So what does that scream? That screams second base. Okay, you have a lot of players in the history of baseball, like power hitting second basemen, who were good and could swing the bat, and maybe weren't the greatest defensively at the position, and therefore they put him at second base because it's not as demanding as a position as, say, shortstop or third or first base, So, and that's what they did with Torres. But Torres just couldn't make the fundamental plays today. Embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. I'm tired of talking about this defense over and over and over again. But that's why they lost the game. You want to know why they lost the game? It's because of Gleyber Torres and the defense. Sucks, man. Absolutely sucks. And the team was good with running. They were 3 for 6 with runners in scoring position today. Volpe had a couple of huge hits. getting on base like crazy. Judge with that big 3-run homer to hopefully get out of his slump. He crushed, by the way, for almost 470 feet. Judge, Rizzo, Soto, they were all, great at the plate. Rizzo had a huge RBI hit. Stan had a couple of hits. Soto was great. He had a huge double down the line, driving a run. Yeah, the lineup was good. I really don't have any complaints about the lineup today. The lineup did its job. But how about Jose Trevino, too? Coming in the game, hitting under 100, hitting like 50. He gets his batting average up to 200. He had 2 hits today, including a home run. That was great to see. He was really the first time all year that I actually have seen him hit the ball hard. So that was a good thing. That was a good thing to see, coming off the shoulder. Or no, what was it, wrist surgery? I mean, he had like wrist surgery. Then he missed a lot of last year, or part of last year. So that's always a concern, obviously, with swinging the bat. So obviously that's a good sign, at least, that he finally start hitting the ball hard. And, you hope Torres comes out of his slump soon. He had a base hit today, 1 for 4, batting average at 203. I mean, look, people are going to be harder on Torres because it really did screw over the game on his error, and he hasn't been hitting. Like, look, if Torres has been hitting, people would be like, okay, but he's not hitting either. So he's not hitting. He's not holding down his position. Stupid error today. Dumb error the other day. I don't know. It's just mad frustrating. Mad frustrating. I'm glad we got 2 out of 3. But I just want to stress, if you're a Yankee fan, you should be very concerned about this defense. If you've been watching all of the games, and I've been watching all the games. Granted, today was a nice day, so got out for a bit, went to the gym. So I was following the game, but not as closely as I usually do. But I saw it. I saw it all up to the end. And the offense, A grade. Okay, they were great. They were never out of it. They fought back in it. Nestor could have had a better day, but look, he didn't do great, but it's not like he gave up 7 or 8 runs or anything. He gave up 4 runs. Didn't have his best stuff. Did have 6 strikeouts. So look, you take that. He kept them in the game. And then the bullpen, for the most part, other than Ferguson, did a great job. So when you look at why they lost this game, it was mainly because of the defense. And Ferguson didn't pitch his best. That was it. But the defense could have picked up Ferguson. And they didn't. So that's it. We handed the Guardians the 3rd game. The Guardians did not play. Honestly, they didn't play better. They played better, obviously, on defense. But when you look offense and pitching, they did not play better than us. We beat them on that, but the reason they won is because guess what? Their defense didn't screw up as much as we did. So you give teams extra outs, and this is what happens. And all you got to do is get a sac fly, which is what their shortstop Andres Jimenez did. Boom, game over. Once it was tied, I knew it was game over. So, and it sucks because you have the stupid runner on second rule, and the Yankees capitalized, and they took advantage of that because when you have the runner on second rule with the extra innings with no outs, that you got to get more than 1 run because what every team's going to do is just bunt the guy over and then have runner on third and less than 2 outs, and then they're going to hit a sac fly or something and get that run in. So you have to get more than 1 run, which is what the Yankees did, thankfully, on offense. But then it didn't matter because the defense couldn't pick the team up at all. So stupid throws, not picking balls, not fielding routine grounders. I mean, come on. This is Little League. This is Little League stuff here. Make the routine plays. I shouldn't even have to say it. It's not like there were plays where the guys had to dive and it was a tough play and the guy hit it super hard and so-and-so had to dive for it and then come up and make this awkward throw. And no, you had none of that. All these plays, routine, right at the guys. Barely had to move. And nope, they found a way to screw it up. Whether throwing, fielding, found a way to screw it up. Unbelievable. Better hope they tighten it up in Toronto. That's all I got to say. Look, defense gets tougher when you're playing on turf. And how are they going to have that when they go to Toronto? Ball gets a little quicker on you on turf. I would know. I played a lot of years traveling on turf. And let me tell you, as an infielder, it's not easy. So I'd be a little worried on that end when they're going to Toronto. But again, 2-3, another series. Yankees take all 5 of their series to start the year. They win every one, which is great. I mean, honestly, if the Yankees lost today and it wasn't this crushing defeat like it was, I would be like, okay. Whether it was, say Cortez gave up like 7-8 runs and the offense didn't really hit the way it hit today. No, I'd say, all right, terrible game, but we won the series. And I'm still saying that now, but it just sucks because the entire team outside of the defense had fight in it today. And they came back, and then the defense just continues to disappoint. And let the team down. So, yeah, that's really, they better hope with that turf in Toronto, like I said, that it's not as bad or worse. I don't know. Now the Yankees fly to Toronto, and they'll begin a 3-game series for them. Tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, Luis Hill will get the ball. He's been great. Start this year, 0-0, but 3 ERA, 14 strikeouts. He will go against Chris Bassett, who struggled this year for Toronto so far. He's 1-2 with a 5.06 ERA, 17 strikeouts. So, yeah, they'll go to Toronto for 3, and then they'll come home and play the Rays on Friday of next week. So, actually, by the way, I'm going to be going to the Saturday game. Should be a lot of fun. Giving away the Judge bobblehead. It'll be my first game this year. I'm actually thinking of like doing like a video vlog or something, because I'm posting these episodes on Spotify, for podcasts, and Apple, Amazon, but it's also on YouTube. I go live on YouTube and I record these episodes, and I kind of break down the games as much as I can. Not every game, but close to every game, every series. So, I think I'm going to maybe make a little cool video, just like, going to this game, because it'll be my first one of the year, which I'm pretty psyched for. I've been pretty busy here at school, wrapping up the semester and, starting this podcast. I obviously been following the Yankees very closely, and I usually always do, but more especially close because, now I got to record episodes and know what I'm talking about in terms of the game summaries and whatnot. And so I think it'll be fun. His first game, I want to do a lot of games this year because I feel like this could be a special team, outside of the highs and lows. Right, today was obviously a low, but that doubleheader yesterday, I was feeling over the moon with recording that episode. And then today, not so much. That's the beauty of baseball. But look, they got to come out tomorrow, and the defense, I'm looking for the defense to really play crisp, play tight. And that's what I'm most looking forward to tomorrow, because clearly we've seen, in 16 games to start this year that this lineup's going to hit. Hopefully the 3-run homer by Judge today is the start of him getting out of his slump. So he's going to hit. And then you got Soto doing what he's doing best, right? He continues to mash. You have Volpe mashing at leadoff. You have Rizzo and Stanton hitting. That 1 through 5 is scary, like Donovan Mitchell said the other day. And he's a Mets fan, Donovan Mitchell, but the big NBA superstar. He said, yeah, that Yankees 1 through 5 is scary. And it is. It is. But that's not entirely baseball. You also have to do the other little things too. But it helps when this team can hit and they can get some guys in that pitching staff to step it up. Obviously, with Cole out, I mean, the Yankees are thrilled to be, 12-4 with Garrett Cole out, and hopefully Garrett Cole can be back. by June, what are they saying, June 1st. So like that summer target, right? And that's what I'm hoping. This team can just stay afloat, keep their head above water until then. And then you get Garrett Cole back, and then you get the Martian. I think he can be back some point. I think they said like July, maybe June, but I think they said usually like July. So midpoint of the summer, you can get the Martian back, and then this team can get really scary. So, but the defense has to tighten it up. I think I've stressed that enough. I don't want to keep talking about it, but yeah, I mean, it was just pathetic. If you watched the game today, you just were shaking your head, and it sucks because most of the bullpen really came out and pitched well tonight. Outside of Caleb Ferguson, he didn't do well, but look, everything else went to plan. It was the defense that shit the bed. It's the reason they lost the game. And also, too, the umpiring. I know I kind of talk about this all the time. The umpiring was terrible, but it wasn't as bad as the previous day. So you kind of just deal with it and move on. But it's the defense. Defense has to get better. You know, John Birdie, who they got from the Miami Marlins, who's out, he was playing third base a lot of the days. You know, now Cabrera's filling in at that spot at third, and Cabrera had a bad throw today. But look, I mean, I don't know. Birdie wasn't hitting, but he was playing well defensively at third base. He had like one little blunder there, I remember, in one of the games, but he saved us in that Houston series with that diving play. And, you know, he looks like a guy who could, you know, be like a guy we have to go out and get another one of, like, that can play any infield position and hold down his position and make plays and be a plus defender. That's what we need. We need plus defenders on this team. Because, yes, Anthony Volpe did win a Gold Glove last year, but my main concern with Volpe is throwing. Just sometimes he has wild throws, bad throws. He's got to clean that up. Almost like he's like rushing the throw. I don't know. But Torres and Rizzo, I mean, those guys have taken the biggest downfall on defense. And Torres isn't as surprising because he was never a good defender at all. But Rizzo has always been, for the most part, as a Yankee, a good defender, a guy that can really pick it at first. And we haven't seen it all from him this year. He's hit, yes. But other than that, defense hasn't been there, and that's concerning. First base is a tough position. A lot of responsibility at first base. Some people think that, oh, yeah, you could just throw any guy at first base. No, you can't. First base, you have a lot of responsibilities. You know, obviously one of them, the big one being, you know, having to, you know, save errors, you know, on bad throws and whatnot, and then cutoffs and whatnot. It's a big job. It's one of the more demanding positions, honestly, in baseball, aside from catcher. So, you know, you don't just throw any slouch over there at first base. And look, Rizzo's getting up in age. He's 34. You got to start asking the question, like, is age the factor? Like, why this steady decline in defense? Is it his age? I don't think he's hurt. You know, he's hitting well. So I don't know. It's just something you're kind of scratching your head at. Rizzo's not hitting. He's not hitting well to start. I shouldn't have been that premature. His average is barely over 200. But look, he's been no like atrocious hitter. He has had some big hits for this team in every series this year. So, but the defense just hasn't been there. So I don't know. That's just concerning. That's concerning. And, you know, I don't know. I feel like I've drowned this enough. I don't want to get too repetitive. And yeah, hopefully they can turn it around, you know, come back in Toronto and take care of business in Toronto. Monday, tomorrow, they'll have Luis Hill on the mound. Then Tuesday, they'll have Carlos Rodon. And then Wednesday, they will have Marcus Stroman, hoping for a bounce-back start from him. And yeah, I mean, that's it. So I'll be glad that the Yankees won the series. But you can be frustrated at the way they lost. I know I am, just in terms of the defense, absolutely, you know, blowing this game. Yankees had, you know, all the business to win this game once they went up 7-5 in that top of the 10th inning. And, you know, you knew the bullpen could probably come back in and shut it down. My one question, actually, is since Clay Holmes pitched really well in the 9th inning, I was kind of curious as to why, because I was thinking of this when they were up 7-5. I was thinking, well, Holmes did really well in the ninth, maybe bring him back out for the 10th. But I guess pitch count and wise and saving your bullpen, Aaron Boone didn't want to do that, and he went to Caleb Ferguson. I'm not judging or anything, whatever. That's not really the most pressing issue. But that was something I was curious about, because I was thinking, like, Clay Holmes had a really good inning in that ninth inning, keeping the game tied at 5-5. So I was thinking, why not maybe just bring him back out for the 10th, and then if you can't use him for the Toronto series, whatever, for that first game, I don't know. Maybe because they want to, I guess they want to preserve him, and be able to use him all if they have to. But yeah, would have been really nice to get that sweep though. Anyway, I think that'll do it for our latest episode on Yankees on Deck. Yeah. So thank you guys. I will talk to you guys soon. Let's go Yankees, and have a great evening, everybody.